Well, good afternoon, and thank you all for being here with us this afternoon on a Saturday to get an update on Hurricane Ida and what we're doing to mitigate the impact of this particular storm here in the state of Mississippi. It is written in my notes that Hurricane Ida is currently a Category 1, but I think in reality over the last few minutes, it is upgraded to a level 2 hurricane, Category 2 hurricane, and that really just speaks to the movement and how rapidly things are changing. It is anticipated that Hurricane Ida will continue to strengthen to the point of most likely being a Category 3 at least when it hits landfall, and it is currently expected to hit landfall in the vicinity of Morgan City, Louisiana, sometime on Sunday, most likely on or around 7 p.m. It is currently 400 miles southeast of New Orleans, and currently the maximum sustained winds are approximately 100 miles an hour. If that continues, and as we all know that hurricanes are unpredictable, they're unpredictable when they are in the Gulf of Mexico, and they're also unpredictable as they move onto landfall. But if in fact that is correct and the current projections hold somewhere around Morgan City or sometime around 7 p.m. on Sunday, that means of course that many of our areas in Mississippi, certainly the coastal areas, will start getting significant winds as well as significant increases in water and rain sometime early tomorrow on Sunday. It also means that we could see the storm land sometime around 7 a.m. entering into the state of Mississippi. We could then expect that sometime around 7 p.m. on Monday that the storm would be just north of Vicksburg, Mississippi, 7 p.m. on Monday. Then approximately 7 a.m. on Tuesday, the storm would be located somewhere in and around Batesville, Mississippi, with the potential of leaving the state around noon on Tuesday. If in fact those hold, clearly we are looking at significant challenges in terms of increased water, particularly in Hancock County is probably our biggest threat initially. We could see as much as 7 to 11 feet of storm surge in and around Hancock County, but we'll also see as much as 4 to 7 feet of storm surge throughout Harrison and Jackson County as well. So we're going to see significant storm surge from this event if it stays on its current path. Not only are we going to have significant storm surge, we are also anticipating a significant amount of rain. The rainfall concerns are not limited to any one geographic region of our state. We could see significant rainfall throughout the state of Mississippi, as much as 6 to 10 inches in certain areas, particularly on the coast and in southwest Mississippi. We're used to dealing with hurricanes in Hancock, Harrison, and Jackson County, Pearl River County, Stone County. It's a little bit less likely for us to be dealing with the kind of rainfall and rising water that we're likely to see in southwest Mississippi between, say, Brookhaven to Natchez to Macomb and all areas in between. We could see as much as 6 to 10 inches in southwest Mississippi, and quite frankly, we are anticipating as much as 4 to 6 inches of rain possible throughout the entire state over the next 48 to 72 hours. We have currently all 3 of our ports in the Mississippi Gulf Coast are at Yankee status, and it's very likely that our ports will close sometime early in the morning. We are looking, and I'm going to let Mac talk more about this, but we do have approximately 19 shelters that are open and are being staffed throughout the state of Mississippi. Those are in Harrison, George, Wilkinson, Pearl River, Stone, Marion, Hancock, and Jackson County at this time. One of the things that you are probably seeing, if you are out on the roads or out on the interstates, as we are seeing a lot of our neighbors to the west, a lot of our friends in Louisiana are fleeing this storm. Some of them hopefully are going west, some of them are going east, and some of them are going north. To all of our friends in Mississippi, if you're from here, I would ask that you, if you can avoid it, stay off of our interstates, stay off the interstates. We can take the back roads and leave those interstate exits, interstate opportunities to our friends that are fleeing the storm from Louisiana. We also are blessed here to have with us Gracia from FEMA. She's not often here, which tells you the significance of this particular storm, but she's been an extremely great partner, as has FEMA, in ensuring that we have the resources here that we need, and we are thankful that she is here and she'll be able to answer any questions that you may have as well. We are in the process of making sure that there are no unmet needs by our counties. We did an extensive all-county call earlier today. In addition to that, earlier today I signed a state of emergency, which allows us to deploy resources, state resources and state assets for the purpose of search and rescue and other efforts. Clearly, we have been working very closely together since this storm popped up. This is relatively unusual, and the timing is very unusual that this particular storm on early Thursday morning was a tropical depression just entering the Gulf, and it has seen a significant increase, very rapid increase in the strength and the size of the storm in a very, very short period of time. But we have been coordinating with all of the state agencies, Department of Health, Department of Public Safety, the Mississippi National Guard, all of our local counties and others, and feel as if, as we move into tomorrow, that we are well positioned and well prepared to deal with whatever the aftermath of Hurricane Ida is. If you are in a low-lying area, particularly in Pearl River, Hancock, Harrison, and Jackson County, and you know who you are, this is not the first time that we've been through this, but if you are in a low-lying area, because of that storm surge that I mentioned earlier, as much as 7 to 11 feet, we encourage you strongly, and I believe that there has been a mandatory evacuation in Zone 1 in Hancock County. We encourage you to find higher ground. Go to a friend's house, a neighbor's house, a family member's house. Protect yourself and protect your neighbors. We know also that there is going to be the potential of search and rescue missions. We have federal teams as well as our local teams and our state teams that are positioned. We have Mississippi National Guard assets that are being positioned. We have 3 teams going to Camp Shelby, 3 teams going to Southwest Mississippi that will be prepared to respond in whatever way is needed and necessary. With that, I'm going to again thank you all for being here. I'm going to turn it over to Mac and let him give you an update from the emergency management team. Mac?
Thank you, Governor. I want to caveat on some of the things the Governor said. You know, 11 feet of surge. You know, I can't dunk a basketball. If you can't dunk one, 11 feet, that's a lot of water, and it's not stagnant water. It is moving water. It's going to move your vehicle. It will swamp your vehicle and take it downstream. So let's be very cognizant about the amount of rainwater that's going to fall over the next couple of days. We've been working hand in hand with our partners, the Department of Health, the Department of Public Safety, the Mississippi National Guard, the 82 counties. We had a call this morning, as the Governor alluded to. We concentrated first on the coastal counties to make sure that they had all the things that they need. For the past 72 hours, we have been moving tarps. We've been moving sandbags. We've been moving commodities, everything that we would need to have for water, food, hydration, things of that nature. We've been moving that and getting them in place at the shelters. Shelters will be open. We alluded to it. We have it on our website, msema.org. If you'll go and check there for your local shelter, where that might be, we're going to have the PPE, the proper protective equipment that you need to be able to come to that. No one's going to be turned away. We want to take care of every Mississippian and others that might be traveling through the state. I want to Also caveat too that the governor said something very important. We know the back roads in Mississippi. Right now, we have friends to the south of us in Louisiana. They are trying to get out of harm's way. They are going to be hit first with this storm, possible 3 to Category 4. Let's let them get to a safe haven. And so if we can take some of that pressure off of the highway, that'll help our troopers and the Department of Transportation folks that are out there doing a great job trying to keep all of those moving. So let's do the best that we can, and let's be Mississippi like we always are, the hospitality state, and let them move through as they need to. We've alluded to it. We've had about 154,000 sandbags we put on the coast. Today is the day that you need to prepare. This is it. You've got till about dark 30, and then in the morning, things are going to start picking up. Winds are going to start picking up. Some parts of the state, you're going to have 35 to 45 mile an hour winds, and there's going to be a lot of debris contained within those. So let's make sure that any preparations that you need to do, let's finish that up today. Our federal partners, FEMA, have come with a laundry list of things that we might need and that we see that we might need that we plan for. We hope we don't use it, but we've got extra search and rescue assets. Our SAR teams in the state of Mississippi are already deployed. They are ready with the National Guard high water teams. So we have everything that Mississippi owns in full force and ready to go. What FEMA brings in is some bigger and much more robust things. We're going to have the generators stationed within the state of Mississippi for all of our primary life safety hospitals, long-term care facilities, and other facilities that might need to have generation power back up. We know we're going to lose power. Well, we know that. The energy folks have planned for it. We've been speaking with them throughout yesterday and today. They have extra teams in Mississippi, and they're ready to respond when needed to get power back on as quickly as possible. If not, we've got some resources that we can bring to bear on that, as well as search and rescue if we need it. Governor, that's all I have at this time.
Thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. As you know, the Mississippi State Department of Health is no stranger to hurricane preparedness. We've learned a whole lot from Hurricane Katrina that should really help us operate much better now. We have plans and boots on the ground around the state to assist with our response to Hurricane Ida, and I'm very confident in our public health teams as well as our healthcare partners that are out there to make sure that we continue to be as prepared as possible for Hurricane Ida. So first, let me talk about our preparedness and response mission, because it covers a lot of ground. To ensure the safety of our patients, as well as the teams that provide testing around the state of Mississippi for COVID, we will suspend some testing on Monday and potentially Tuesday. Same thing for vaccination in some of our county health departments may be suspended Monday. So check the website for both scheduling of COVID test and our COVID vaccine to make sure that the test is available in your area. Of course, everything's dependent on the weather, and we will reassess and make changes based on the changing weather. Our teams are in the field currently preserving the vaccine. As you know, the vaccine has to be kept at an ultra cold state. We're moving vaccine to where those ultra cold freezers are that are on generators. So we'll be moving that and plan to have those completed before the end of today. Power loss obviously is a significant concern for us. As you know, we opened our special medical needs shelter, the state medical needs shelter in Wiggins, Mississippi, began taking patients at noon today. That particular shelter has its own water system as well as a generator there powered to operate. However, we are worried about power in our facilities such as long-term care facilities, hospitals, and public drinking water systems. And again, thanks to FEMA and the state, additional resources are here to ensure that we're ready and restore power just as quickly as possible. We know that critical infrastructure can be impacted by high winds, excessive rainfall, and flooding. And to make sure that we're prepared as much as possible, we're working with hospitals to assist with their decompression plans. It's not something that we do very often, but when a storm comes, we try to make sure that the critical patients are moved. We're making those actions now. Our EMS agencies are helping in the movement of those patients. Remember, our hospitals and EMS agencies are already working at maximum capacity due to COVID. We're very grateful to the state and the federal staff that we have here to help us staff additional beds and resources here in Mississippi. We'll be monitoring restaurants for power loss and, of course, as I said, public drinking water facilities. As we lose power in our facilities, water will become an issue. After the storm, we're more likely to have boil water notices, so watch the media, but if you lose pressure, just go ahead and consider you should boil water until you hear different. Information regarding this, if you have power, will be on our website. Mississippi State Department of Health has outlets to distribute information about water, restaurants, and other regulatory duties on our website, social media. You like us on Twitter and Facebook, but also through our free Mississippi Ready app. You can download the Mississippi Ready app, and we push information out about boil water notices and other things in the healthcare realm. I'll end by saying we're better prepared today than we were for Hurricane Katrina 16 years ago, but we are also dealing this time with a major pandemic. Please be sure to wear your mask when indoors, continue to follow isolation and quarantine guidelines, and remember, if you do have to evacuate to a shelter or to a relative's or a friend's home, you should follow the same isolation and quarantine guidelines as much as possible so that we can stop the spread of COVID in our state. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you, Jim. I just want to reiterate how much I appreciate the efforts of the Mississippi Emergency Management Agency, our partnership with our federal friends and allies at FEMA, with the Mississippi State Department of Health. I also want to include in that the Mississippi National Guard, who is currently in the process of moving assets around, the Mississippi Department of Public Safety with our commissioner, who has been reporting to me and to Mac as well from the Harrison County Emergency Operations Center, obviously, as well as I want to also thank the Mississippi Department of Transportation and their Executive Director, Brad White, who was on multiple calls and has been on multiple calls with us over the last 24 to 48 hours. In addition to that, I will just mention that we have requested an emergency declaration by the President. I spoke with the President and the FEMA Administrator yesterday, and that is in process, and we anticipate receiving that back with an approval in the very near future. So, again, with that, I'm going to open the floor to any questions that you may have. Shelby.
Toby Vance with MPB.
Hey, this might be a question for the governor or Mr. Craig. When it comes to the state system of care, how are y'all going to be transferring patients if that need arises to other hospitals for like COVID patients that need that extra life support?
I'm going to let Jim address the specifics. We just had a conversation. I do want to point out that in our calls yesterday, we brought that to the President's attention, and we have, in terms of the ability to move patients, we have significant additional assets that have been brought to bear by our federal partners, and so that's certainly going to be an asset. In addition to that, we do have not only our federal teams that are here helping staff hospitals, we also have our private sector teams that MEMA has hired over the last 10 days to provide additional space and additional beds in our hospitals throughout the state. Jim?
Yeah, Kobe, great question. Mississippi MedCom, as you know, is the agent that really helps us transfer patients, critical care patients around the state to hospitals where they're needed to go for critical care services. What we started to do actually yesterday is to decrease our critical care transfers to hospitals in the southern part of our state and increase those transfers to the northern part of the state. Again, not wanting to have to move patients twice, we're working to locate patients in the northern part of the state. As the storm progresses, there may be additional critical care resources that have to be pushed. As the governor stated, we do have some additional federal resources available to us, not just the ones that are already here helping us in our hospitals, but additional strike teams of ambulance services that may also be able to help us move patients.
Okay.
Thank you, Governor Bailey. Two questions. The first one, though, is for either for you, Governor, or for Mr. McCraney. And then there'll be a follow-up after that. The first question would be about the local Gulf Coast harbors. I know there has been some, there obviously should be mandatory evacuations for boats and things as such, but just like last year, there was some storage places. I guess they go through the back way. For instance, in West Harrison County or in Hancock, they go put their boats in the back of Jordan River. Is there any recommendations about where to place vessels at? I'll let either one of you answer the question, then I have a follow-up.
Yeah, the one thing I would say to you, Hunter, is thanks for that question. This is a storm that is unlike normal in that it popped up literally just less than 48 hours ago as a tropical depression, and here we're talking about it making landfall as soon as 2 p.m. tomorrow. And so because of that, it gives those individuals, particularly those who don't live on the coast, that keep their boat in one of our harbors, significantly less time for them to make the necessary plans. This is not an ideal situation in that regard, but we certainly want to remind everyone who has a boat in one of our harbors up and down the coastline to understand that the storm surge is going to be as much as 7 to 11 feet in Hancock County and likely to be 4 to 7 feet in Harrison and Jackson County. That's certainly pretty significant storm surge that could certainly put boats and other assets in our harbors in harm's way.
I'll just follow up on that, the local emergency managers and also the Department of Marine Resources are a great source of information on where to move those boats and when to move them. If you look at the 3 ports that are down there that are at level Yankee right now, that means it's 24 hours out, but really less. So at about 10 o'clock tonight, you're going to be within 12 hours, and that's Zulu. Every port's going to close on the coast, and there won't be any moving and any out. So the time to get those out of the way are now. But your local emergency managers and also the Department of Marine Resources, they will tell you if something's going to be safe or not. Again, I'll go back to the surge. 12 more feet. If you think you have your boat stashed in some of the back bay areas and whatnot, add 12 foot more of water and the surge and the rushing of it, it might be in the trees when you come back. We saw that during Katrina. We've seen that during other storms. So do what your local government agents as well as emergency managers tell you to do. They're looking at it. They know the land down there, and our guidance is to follow their guidance. Follow up?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Ben, and thank you, Governor. The follow-up question is, last week, Governor, you had spoke about contracts being awarded for healthcare workers that there are not in the hospitals due to COVID patients. This question would be for either you or for Mr. Craig, Governor. Are there going to be enough individuals down here on the coast with the hospitals that will be able to take care of those patients? Because I'm not necessarily sure about the amount that we have in the hospitals, but that being said, obviously there are going to be enough of those if the contract workers have come in yet or not.
Yeah, so we actually just got an update. We're right now we are operating with about 70% of the contract workers have shown up at the various hospitals. We've had a little bit of a delay with some, not many, but some of the licensing requirements that have been done. But a significant number of staff and a significant number of respiratory therapists have been deployed. But understand that if in years in which COVID doesn't exist, given the level at which our hospitals are often have the number of patients that they have, hurricanes present real challenges, even if COVID did not exist. And so we're going to have challenges, and that's the reason we have worked with we have requested and we have received the support of the federal government to have additional assets to move patients in the event that that's going to be the case. There was a massive effort 16 years ago, or I guess 16 years ago in less 3 or 4 days. There was a massive effort in terms of movement of patients and hospitalizations in the immediate aftermath of Hurricane Katrina. And obviously that was a major storm, but it also was a storm and a period when we weren't dealing with this pandemic and the significant increase in patients that it has caused. And so there is no doubt that logistics and patients in hospitals, this particular storm is going to create some real challenges for us to deal with. But we do believe that we've made the necessary decisions and taken the necessary steps to get the additional and necessary assets and resources here that we will be able to move those patients and do everything we can to make sure that anybody that can get better quality care receives that quality care.
Emily Pettis with AP. Emily?
Yes. Hi, this is a question for the governor. What is the status of casinos and other entertainment venues in South Mississippi? Are they going to be told to close at some point?
I have not told them to close at this time. I have not been told if the Gaming Commission has made a decision on that yet. But at this time, given the fact that this storm, while very dangerous, and by the way, it could always tick back east and it could tick back west, but with the storm itself moving towards the Morgan City, Louisiana area, the one thing that these casinos that have gaming floors that are over water, they know very, very well what kind of storm surge that their facilities can and cannot take. And so at this time, I'm not, I don't see the need for the state to shut them down, but we're certainly continuing to monitor that very, very closely.
Isabel Taft with Biloxi Sun Herald.
Hi, this is a question I think mostly for Mr. Craig. Should we expect to see an increase in COVID cases in the next couple days and weeks as a result of people evacuating and sheltering with family or in close quarters?
Obviously the risk could be a little bit higher as we get more people together in closed spaces and we have people traveling into different parts and assembling. That's why it's very, very important if you're going to be out in any of our shelters, or if you're going to be with friends or others, take those precautions that we've been talking about. Wear a mask when you're out in public settings, in social settings, and just maintain the distance and do the same things we've been saying over and over.
I don't see any other questions at this time. We're going to continue to monitor the storm, and we will provide an additional update at an appropriate time. But as it currently exists, just as a reminder to all of our fellow Mississippians, if you know a back road and you can stay off the interstate, I encourage you to take it. If you will continue to watch the weather and watch the updates from MEMA and the Department of Health and Department of Public Safety and our social media platforms, because we will continue to update those platforms, and just be prepared for what is likely to be a near Category 4 hurricane hitting somewhere around Morgan City sometime around 7 p.m. on Sunday night, which means the next 48 to 72 hours we should see significant increases in water in the coastal region, as well as in the neighborhood of at least 4 inches of rain and as much as 11 inches of rain throughout parts of the state of Mississippi. So again, to all of our fellow Mississippians, stay safe out there. God bless, and we'll be back to you soon. Thank you.